listeners, and welcome to another episode of Current Events on Tap, a podcast brought to you by the Alex Kirsch Project, where, like the drinks, the current events are on the house. And I am your host, Alex Kirsch, pragmatic, progressive, U.S. Army veteran, truck driver, gamer, and streamer. If this is your first time on the show, do not forget to hit like, share, comment, and subscribe. I am currently streaming on the live on YouTube, Twitch, and the X platform formerly known as Twitter. You feel free to follow me there. Just type in the Alex Kirsch Project, and there's where you'll find me. The format of the show is simple. I bring on one or more guests onto the show. We talk beer or beverage of choice and the current events of the week. Each person will discuss their beverage of choice for the hour, whether it's alcoholic or non-alcoholic. It really does not matter. Then each person will cover two current events of their choosing. They give the current event, they give their assessment, then each person gives a chance to get their point across. Now, debate may be possible, but rest assured, you are in a good faith zone. You will give a chance to get your point across. The point of this space is for all of us to discuss the issues, what we think of it, and to keep an open mind to what the other person has to say. But please remember to keep it within TOS. Now, without further ado, let's welcome our guest this evening, a friend of the show, first time on here, not our first interaction, but our first time bringing him on here, Vigilante. What's going on, dude?
Not much, just hanging out. Just been pretty busy.
Yeah, 100%. So why don't you go give a little bit of background and where people can find you?
Yeah, so I'm a variety streamer. I've mostly done politics lately, but I also do gaming, religion, and I've been doing conspiracy theories with Rampage Paul lately. You can find me at the Vigilante TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Yeah.
Yep, and I've dropped his link below. Be sure to go over to his page and give him a like, give him a share, give him a follow. You know, check out his content. We've had a lot of good interactions. We've had quite a few good discussions. It's always great to have a conversation with my buddy Vigilante. He's a really good dude, really excellent guy. So be sure to go over and like his content because it's always a good faith conversation, essentially. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the beverages we've got this evening. So, what you sipping on over there, buddy?
Mountain Dew. Pretty much the gamer drink of choice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You do the code red or just regular Mountain Dew?
Just regular Mountain Dew.
What do you think of the other flavors of Mountain Dew? Do you think they're okay, or they're just a little?
Some of them are okay. Baja Blast is pretty good.
Baja Blast. I just always think, was it King of the Hill or something like that when he does that, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I really don't drink much soda anymore. When I do, like a Pepsi will usually do me just fine. But you know, it's just Coke. I can't even mess with Coke anymore. It's just it's too much for me at some point because just like, you know, I've actually found that Coke is actually very good at cleaning stuff. Like if you need to clean your toilet and you just can't get that stain out, get yourself a can of Coke. It will clean that stain right out. I mean, it's pretty amazing actually.
Yeah, the acidity level in soda is really good at cleaning stuff. I have a really high caffeine dependency, unfortunately, because when I first got out of high school, I was working full time and going to college full time.
Yep.
So I was straight up just mixing Mountain Dew and Monster and just running off of 4 hours of sleep and a lot of caffeine.
Oh yeah.
So I've weaned myself down to a liter of caffeine, a liter of Mountain Dew a day.
Boy.
But I have a very high caffeine dependency still.
I drink a lot of coffee, so I get it. Totally understand. Like I need coffee in the morning because if I don't, I'm gonna have a really shitty day. I think like caffeine keeps me alive. I mean, I used to drink a lot of energy drinks back in the day. Like, I actually knew a guy. I don't know if you ever heard of Endo Rush. It's basically supposed to be like a pre-workout drink. It's supposed to like increase like your heart and stuff like that, increase your heart rate. You know, kind of get you that extra push and stuff. I knew a guy that drank like an entire thing of Endo Rush and like a Red Bull, and he says he felt like the whole world was like slowing down for him. He's like, "Oh my god, this is horrible. This is really bad."
Yeah, that's understandable. Caffeine can do that kind of stuff for you.
Sure, absolutely. So tonight I am drinking. I don't know if it'll show up on the green screen, but it's Walz Alaskan cold beer brewed where there's no road out, road brewed where there's no roads in, essentially. So I guess, because Alaska's so secluded, that's a bit too far out in the country for me. I mean, I live in the country right now, but that's a bit too far out for me. I don't feel like taking an airplane going from one place to the next. So, but it's okay. I mean, it's not my favorite beer, but it's not undrinkable. Let's put it that way. I mean, it's better than most other beers I drink usually, so not too terrible. Like I said, I'm very very particular when it comes to beer. I'm kind of a beer snob at times. I'll drink about anything. The only thing I will not ever drink again is like Red Stripe Lager. I've actually had that on tap in Jamaica, and it is the most god awful fucking lager ever. I absolutely despise it, so I won't drink that one again.
I uh I unfortunately ran out of my vodka yesterday. Uh
Really?
I mostly drink vodka and whiskey.
Hmm.
I'm not really much of a beer person.
That's okay.
I I tend to drink hard liquor,
Mhm.
but I drank the last of my vodka when I was doing the conspiracies with Paul.
Okay. So I actually had a coworker that told me about a vodka. I'm gonna find this because I'm now my curiosity needs to be like satisfied. It's pickle shot spicy pickle vodka. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Yes. Like I I'm very intrigued by this because it's like a, you know, gold colored vodka basically. I'm intrigued by that because like let's put it this way. I'm not much of a pickle person, but then like my wife, we've actually grown our own garden out here, and so we've grown our own cucumbers, and so she's made our own pickles basically. So now they're like really good. But I'm thinking about trying this because my coworker says it's actually really addictingly good. It's really got a serious kick to it, which honestly, a little bit of heat with some drinks, some alcoholic beverages is actually not bad. It really kind of depends on what your flavor is, essentially. I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna give it a try. Vodka, I like vodka. Whiskey, it really depends. Jameson, I'll mess with that whiskey all day long. Jim Beam, I'll mess with that. Jack Daniels and I do not get along. Wild Turkey, get the fuck out of here. I don't like you, Wild Turkey. I've had many, many bad memories with Wild Turkey, so. But I'm more of a rum person. I love rum. I could drink rum all the time. Love it.
Yeah, rum's one of the ones that I'm not too big of a fan of. I don't like the flavor of rum.
That's okay. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there, but I get it. I mean, some people don't mess with tequila because like it brings out like the beast in them. It makes them violent or something, or not really violent, but they just get extra basically when they drink tequila. Which I've never had that problem. Maybe I'm just a freak of nature. I don't know.
Yeah, and then there's some people, especially women, that get super fucking horny when they drink tequila. So
I don't know. I always loved it when Nick Swartzen talked about like drunk girls that think that they're really cocky, but then down comes the spiral. They start crying, they start losing friends, stuff like that. Oh, it's 100% true. So, excuse me. Yeah. So hey, what do you say? Should we jump into current events?
yeah,
All right. So, topic number one: an Ohio sheriff by the name of Bruce D. Zakowski, I think it's pronounced, from Portage County, said this on both his personal and his professional social media pages about Vice President and Democratic nominee for President Kamala Harris. He's quoted saying, "When people ask me, what's going to happen if the flip-flopping Laffy Hyena wins? I say, write down all the addresses of the people who had her signs in their yards." He went on to refer to migrants as illegal human locusts and stated that all those who are voting for Harris Walz, that all migrants who get sent to Ohio need to be sent to their homes. Now, the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU of Ohio, has made a statement on this matter and believe he has made an impermissible threat against those who wish to show their support for their candidate. Now, we live in a digital age, right? Where people get their information online all the time, Now, threats like doxing can lead to real threats like swatting. Now, everybody knows what swatting is. Basically, somebody gets a hold of your VPN. They call the local police department or the FBI, say, "Hey, this person's holding their family hostage." Next thing you know, you got SWAT breaking into your house. Basically, it's really dangerous because people have actually died as a result of this. Now, people have also had like pizzas sent to their house. Now, me, I'm being a pizza junkie, I wouldn't, turn down a free pizza. But at the same time, it's kind of frightening when you think about it because This basically means people have access to your address, which means that they can show up at your door at any time. Now, some people would be really bothered by this. Me, not so much, but it's still something to be concerned about because, like, not everybody has the same, like, training I do essentially to deal with, like, threats and stuff. Now, this is like all a means of intimidation. Now, Ohio being an overly red state,
Mhm.
it's already at the center of controversy with Haitian immigrants who are here legally, that is, and actually building up places like Dayton
Yep.
and Springfield. They're actually making their economies better because they're taking other jobs, they're getting hired on for jobs that's making the economy and everything flow better. They're bringing in like different, restaurants, like Caribbean restaurants and whatnot. And like when we saw on the debate stage where Trump was spreading the lie that even a woman who said that she initially shared that story retracted it because she didn't realize it was going to cause that much damage, and she regrets it now because now people are being threatened online essentially. But that the claim has already been debunked, and yet people are still doubling down on it, which is completely insane. Stories in Colorado, Venezuelans occupying apartment complexes and charging rent. That's already been debunked as well. The people that were doing that with firearms in apartments in Colorado have already been arrested. Like, it's already been dealt with, so it's pretty much a non-issue. Yep. Now, as we see this dangerous rhetoric from this sheriff, there are many who think this could lead to serious negative outcomes. Now, while none of it has happened yet, it doesn't mean that it would not actually happen should Kamala Harris win the presidency, God willing. So, V, what's your thoughts about this, man?
Yeah, I mean, so this kind of rhetoric is the result of us allowing people like Trump into office. When we allow people like Trump who are openly stating fucking racist comments, saying that immigrants are rapists and murderers and shit like that, and just openly stating racist comments, openly supporting fucking white nationalists during Charlottesville. He's going to embolden fucking racists like this sheriff. It's unfortunate. It shows the state of our democracy where racist fascists like this sheriff are emboldened. I was looking into this earlier. This specific sheriff, he's not just like a sheriff's deputy. He is the actual sheriff of Portage County. He is up for re-election. If he gets re-elected, I think that's going to show the state of our democracy, and just show how bad this country is starting to get. Unfortunately, I think America is at the point where we're either going to, or America, in my opinion, is at its tipping point. We're either going to be heading towards our downfall, or we're going to surpass previous empires and outlast previous empires. We're at that 250 year. We're roughly at that 250 year mark where previous empires have failed. It's unfortunate where we start to see things like this happen, and it's scary because you see people like this guy. You see people like the one pastor saying that we need to TOS LGBTQ people.
Oh yeah.
It's you see people like got people in I think it was San Francisco, straight up hanging pro German fascist party signs and flags on bridges.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got the fucking Charlottesville riots. You've got the dude that straight up ran over counter protesters.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the KKK coming back and doing white supremacist rallies in Dayton, Ohio, which I was living in Dayton, Ohio at that time when that happened, and I'm proud to say that when that uh, happened, they only 20 of those KKK people were bold enough to show up, but we had 10,000 counter protest, about 10, it was either 10 or 20,000 counter protesters show up to counter protest those people, including armed new Black Panther movement people and other armed counter protesters. To the extent where the police had to fence off where the KKK people were having their rally.
Yeah.
It's and then not to mention January 6th and the attempted coup. Like it goes to show how bad our democracy's gotten. It's kind of sad, man.
Did you hear what recently happened to that pastor that you're talking about that wanted to TOS, thinks that all LGBTQ plus needs to be TOS? Did you hear what happened to him?
No, I did not.
He had to step down, but he got caught in a sexting operation. Swear to God, yeah. He got caught in a sexting operation, and he was told to step down, so he did. Like, that dude was so sad. Like, he's like, I was told to step down, and I'm so ashamed of what I did. I was like, this is why I say an empty trash can always sounds the loudest, and that's what they are, empty trash cans. I mean,
what was it? Was he sexting a minor or something, or like sexting somebody pretending to be a minor?
No, it was just like it was like a prostitution sting of some sort.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was a prostitute. Like, it was a prostitute sting, basically, it took place. I was like, it's just.
I mean, still not surprising, but note how the fact that my brain immediately jumped to fucking Predator Catcher. So
yeah,
because it's the fucking church.
It really is. I mean, I don't know are you familiar with the guy by the name of? I mean, this is kind of a little bit off topic, but are you familiar with who Ted Haggard is?
I am not. No.
Ted Haggard was like one of the strongest evangelical voices based out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. Well, Richard Dawkins talked to him at one point, and Richard Dawkins was Ted Haggard was very much like marriage between a man and a woman, saying that homosexuality is evil, things like that. He was caught not once but twice with a male escort, not once but twice, while married still. And it's absolutely incredible because, like, here's the thing, I'm very, very progressive, right? I fully support the LGBTQ plus community. And I think people should just be free to love what they love, essentially. But it's these guys these people that hate them so much, when they get caught up in this stuff, I just can't help but laugh about it, because it's like, it just goes, like, the louder you are about this, the more obvious you're probably just, like, waiting to break out of that damn closet, But it's incredible.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's just like, all this seething hatred that they have, it's mind-boggling to me, essentially. And that's like when, leading back to this sheriff, it's like, I don't know if he realizes or if he even cares, like, how dangerous his rhetoric is. Like, and here's the thing. People can have a conversation when it comes, like, their concerns about, like, migrants being brought into their cities. Now, it's a proven fact that migrants actually stabilize and actually bring more to the economy than they take, actually. And, like, for example, what took place down in Florida when Ron DeSantis signed a bill basically to make it to where migrants couldn't work. What ended up happening? Farmers were struggling because that's who takes up most of their work, essentially, is migrants. And you always hear the argument is like, well, wait a second. Why aren't Americans taking these jobs? That's a very good question. Why aren't Americans taking these jobs? Because it sucks. I mean, I've worked in a field, okay? It's not like picking cabbages or lettuces. No, it's like picking blueberries for 10 cents a pound when I was growing up as a kid. I was like 14 years old, you know. It sucks because you're out in the hot sun all day, you know, and it's just like, and you're getting paid 10 cents a pound. It's not fun work. Some people just don't want to do that work, and I don't blame them, but it's somebody's got to do it though. And so you've got migrants that come over to do that work essentially. Now, peek them into the argument. It's like, oh, well, you know, just if you care so much about the migrants, why don't you take them in your home? No, listen, we've got an immigration system that's for that specific reason. But had the Republicans not shot down the bill, which would have put more agents on the border, given us more immigration judges and whatnot, it probably would have helped. But they don't give a shit about that. But, you know, you got all these guys are just like worried about, you know, migrants coming into their communities because, oh my God, they're all criminals. My dude, okay, listen, I'm all about making sure that, you know, if a migrant does commit a crime, then yeah, no problem, get rid of them. That's not an issue. Like, you know, deport them, treat them like any other criminal. But I used to be very, very, very anti immigration, but that's just because I didn't know any better. But I have found that some of them are, like many of them are very hardworking. They just want to make a better life for themselves, which I thought this was the land of freedom and opportunity, you know? I thought, you know, give me your tired, give me your sick, give me your, you know, your masses, whatever the term is. Like on the, I guess that just doesn't apply anymore. But, you know, this sheriff over here is just, I mean, locusts? Really? I mean, what makes them locusts? I mean, they can't get paid Social Security. They can't get welfare. Why? Because they don't have Social Security numbers. So what is he talking about?
And it's insane that a lot of these people also don't that a lot of these people consider fucking refugees illegal immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was watching a video earlier from Jubilee because like they started doing this thing called Surrounded. The first episode was with Steven Crowder, where he was debating a bunch of liberal college students. The most recent one was a teen TikToker that goes to
Parker
Trump rallies and debates. No, not Parker. It was a different one.
Okay.
That goes to Trump rallies and debates people, but it wasn't Parker. It was another guy.
Okay.
But he was surrounded by a bunch of Trump supporters, and one of the topics he brought up, or that kept getting brought up, obviously, was immigration because it's Trump supporters, and they kept treating the refugees like they were illegal immigrants. Obviously, refugees aren't illegal immigrants. We're part of the refugee treaty. They're legal immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And like the fact that people don't understand that refugees, and like even some of the people like here in Twitch poll, like Admiral Gibbs, like I've had like, or like in other people as well, like I've had them bring up the fucking refugee shit too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't understand how people don't realize that when somebody comes here through the fucking refugee status, like they're legal immigrants. They're not illegal immigrants. Like it's that, like if that was the case, then every single one of the fucking Cuban immigrants that down in Florida that vote fucking Republican would all be illegal immigrants.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because like a lot of them that come across had the same values that a lot of conservatives do. You know, strong family values, strong religious morals and principles, hard-working ethics, essentially, like that the things that conservatives claim that they hold dear. But for some reason, you know, if you come south of the border or something like that, if you come from a different country, you obviously don't possess those values. Unless you come from Scandinavia, that is. Like, I remember when a certain orange dipshit said, why can't we get immigrants coming in from Scandinavia, essentially? Well, probably because they got a better way of life over there than they do here. That's why. That's why you don't see like an influx of people coming from Scandinavia, essentially. I mean, just...
Why would anybody want to leave fucking Europe to come here when in Europe you have fucking healthcare and shit? Fuck. Did you hear about how Australia made it easier for Americans and shit to fucking immigrate there recently?
Really?
Yeah, all you have to do is serve in the fucking Australian military for 90 days and you get citizenship.
Sounds easy. I did it for 20 years, so that would be easy enough. I could bring that to the table.
Yeah, they did that. Did that, and I was immediately considering fucking signing up.
Yeah.
I was like,
I can ask
90 days for fucking free healthcare, free college, and all that shit?
which is amazing
Huh.
because like I talked to my buddy who lives in Australia from Perth. He's my geopolitical go-to, right? And he talked about like how when him and his wife had their son, this is what happened, right? Getting on to healthcare. I know we're getting off topic, but it's okay. Um, when him and his wife had their son, they had transport to the hospital. They had their own private room. They had three what's it called? Uh what's it called? Handmaidens or not handmaidens, what the fuck is it?
Nurses?
Nurses basically
Or,
like that's what you're specialized in, like you work with babies, like that's maternity nurses or something like that. Baby girl, come here. Come on, Dash. Come on, stop it. Sorry, she likes to hang out. But anyway, like three nurses that help out with the mother and whatnot, with the baby and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Did the whole and they would come by every single day after the baby was born to make sure the baby was doing okay in case she had any questions for 2 weeks straight. And he asked me, he's like, "Do you know how much that cost?" I was like, "Probably nothing." It's like it cost me a fifth of vodka and coffee. That's it to give to them. That's it. It's like that's how the healthcare system is in Australia. Is it perfect? No, but it's much better because like people complain about our healthcare system, but then I was like, would you rather have the American healthcare system? Like, fuck no, absolutely not. I mean, for a country that spends the most on healthcare, we have some of the worst healthcare in a first world nation. Like, it's not even close. Like, people think I'm being hyperbolic. I'm not. I've actually looked it up.
yeah, no, like, okay, so let me bring up some of my old debate points here.
Yep.
Let's see. Where's the last time I debated? Because I've been healthcare. Here it is. Universal healthcare. Do 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 do. So this is this is what I said on. I'm not gonna read all of my opening
Sure.
because blah 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 blah. Private insurance is shit. The approval process is abysmal. They will leave people out to die because they don't think a service is necessary. This process means we are having medical issues like cancer, pneumonia, Alzheimer's disease, etc. Your life isn't in your doctor's hands, it's in the hands of some random adjuster who knows nothing about medicine. Universal healthcare changes that. It puts the medical decisions in the hands of the people that it should be, the doctors.
100% agree. I couldn't agree more. Like, it's just, I've seen, again, I'm off topic and stuff, but like, I'm covered. I've got healthcare insurance for life. But I remember one time I went down to Flint because I was having like a really bad shoulder, like bad pain, like here in my neck region, but I could feel it spreading to the left side of my body, right? And so I went to an emergency care clinic, an urgent care clinic. And I said I was feeling chest pains. So they told me to go to the nearest emergency room. And my wife and I went down there. We were there for like 7 or 8 hours. And I got EKG done. I got blood work done. And I talked to a nurse or something like that. I had like 3 different tests done. Never saw a doctor. And my bill was like 3 grand, maybe more. I can't remember what it was. There were people waiting in that emergency room that probably couldn't afford that. People were like, "Oh, well, that's their fault." No, these people like they live in a poverty-stricken neighborhood, and some of them probably have jobs
Mhm.
that don't pay insurance. They don't have health care for them. How are they going to afford those bills? There are some people that would much rather die instead of saddling their families with medical debt, essentially. But it's just, and I literally saw people like bleeding out on the floor, like from an injury, or like vomiting on the floor, and not getting the care they needed. And it's not because like the hospital staff didn't care; it's because they were so severely undermanned. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. But
Like at, at this point, like with the way that our healthcare system works, I would almost rather stay at the point where I'm at where I'm borderline in poverty, but I can be on Medicaid and not have to fucking pay for a goddamn thing, than be fucking like middle class or upper middle class and then risk having a fucking like $1,000 medical bill.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking retarded.
It's really bad. I don't. I can't go for it. I just don't understand why it's not better. But anyway, I'm sorry. We keep going off topic. But like, it's just the sheriff here. It's not well intentioned what he's saying. It's very much like probably just a means of like getting people's attention, you know. But it's dangerous because when you're in that position of power, right? It as a sheriff, because we just recently had like a primary where um one of the people that was actually running for sheriff where I live, I'm not gonna say which county I live in, but I don't know if you're familiar with this TV show called Meet the Putmans. It's a very wealthy family that lives where the area where I live in. Well, one of the kids, you know, was running for office of sheriff. No experience in law enforcement whatsoever, but he was going to be a constitutional sheriff. Fortunately, he did not win the primary. He got less votes than the guy that's running for the Democratic Party. But like the guy that's actually the candidate for the Republican Party actually has a lot of experience, like, and he's actually got a good head on his shoulders. When you are finding somebody to be a sheriff, you want somebody that actually understands the rule of law. You want somebody to understand that your sole concern, and even though like I've got my criticisms of police, but if you're a good cop, if you're a good sheriff or something like that, which means that you actually care about what happens within your realm, in your county, whatnot, then you're going to gain the trust of the people. What this guy did, he's pretty much damaged his credibility. I'm pretty sure there are some racist people that agree with him and think they're going to go along with it. But this guy basically destroyed any chance of a report he might have. And if he loses this election, it's because of this stupid shit that he did. He decided to basically alienate people just because of who they're going to vote for. I mean, that's not okay. I mean, if anybody doxes my address simply because of I got a Harris Walz sign amongst other signs out there, then that just basically means this person's a piece of shit. That's the way I look at him. But they're willing to dox me simply. I don't believe in doxing. I think doxing is stupid. I think doxing is an act of cowardice. I mean, what do you think?
Um, so don't get me wrong. I do think doxing is okay in certain circumstances. Um, Definitely not in this circumstance.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, like just doxing somebody because of what who they voted for, that's fucking retarded.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the circumstances that I think it's okay for, like, is like when they do heinous shit, and that's literally like only to report it to law enforcement
Mm-hmm.
or to protect a victim.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
it's there are there are circumstances where it's warranted, but it's very situational, and it's gotta be for reasons why where it's there's a victim involved and you're like reporting it to law enforcement or
Sure.
protecting someone. That's like not just because, oh, you don't like who someone voted for, and you're just wanting to be a fascist dickhead.
Mm-hmm.
It's retarded.
Yeah. I can't go with it either. So I honestly hope this sheriff does lose the upcoming election. So if people live in that guy's county, don't vote for this dude. He seems like a real prick. I can't respect anybody that would do something like that. Um, and the fact that people have tried to approach him, like I see videos of people on TikTok confronting this guy, and he basically says, "Hey, get the hell away from me. I'm not going to talk to you," stuff like that. I mean, listen, you done fucked up, Ron. You screwed up, man. You're the one that basically opened up this door. Now you got to face the consequences essentially, and hopefully those consequences basically means he does not get reelected or gets put in any positions of power, because at this point you've pretty much damaged all your credibility. There's no other way to put it. Baby girl.
Yeah, he's lost all credibility. Like, we need to make sure we need to quit electing people that use fascist rhetoric like this. Whether it's him, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's fucking Matt Gaetz, whether it's Lauren Boebert, like all of them. Stop electing people that use fascist rhetoric. It's not okay. We can't be electing people that are dehumanizing other people. It's not fine.
Yep, 100% agree. Yep.
It's degrading our democracy. It's pushing us towards fascism. We, especially with the state of where this country's at, where we have like at least a third of the country willing to basically do, I don't even know if it's a third of the country, willing to do whatever the fuck Trump wants. If he wins, I don't know how the shit's gonna go. People act like he couldn't become a dictator if he wanted to, but everybody ignores the fact that, and like I've brought this up on panels, right? So like, and like everybody asks, everybody on the right asks how Trump could become a dictator if he wanted to. And you've got like how Destiny and Hutch talk about it, like like you've heard their argument, right?
Yeah.
Like how they talked about it on Hippy Dippy. Everybody ignores the fact that he could just use the state of emergency stuff and declare martial law. There's no requirements for him to declare martial law. He just has to have some degree of support. And if he used his supposed immigration crisis that he's been pushing to declare martial law, he would easily get away with it.
There's a lot of things people don't understand. It's one of the things I'm going to talk about tomorrow. The reason why he didn't do it his first time around is because he had people that told him no. He had people that understood how a democracy, how this republic works, that said, listen, we're not going to be on board with this. Because like there was a lot of people he tried to bring in, like towards the end of his administration. He tried to bring a guy in to be the attorney general, and there's Jeffrey Clark to be his next attorney general. And everybody says, listen, if you put him as the attorney general, we're all going to walk. We do not trust this guy whatsoever. So, and Trump has already made it clear that he is only going to hire people that will tell him yes. That's all he wants. He wants loyalty. He wants people to tell him, yes, it's okay, let's do this. That's all he cares about. So, it's just, people like that do not deserve to be in power.
This time around, he's surrounding himself with yes men. And I guarantee you, relatively quickly into his presidency, if he wins, he's gonna use the supposed immigration crisis to declare martial law, and he's gonna basically become a dictator. Like people, like he said, he wants to be a dictator from on day one. Like how he's going to do that is by the only way he can do that is by declaring martial law. And when he's seeking power, and once he gets that power, I don't believe he's ever going to give that up.
Dictators never do. They never do. So, but I think we've pretty much nailed this topic. Why don't you go to start with your first topic for the evening?
All right, hold on one second. What was that first? Yes, this one. Okay. Hold up. Pull up an article on this one.
And just so everybody knows, if my stream freezes up or something like that, just roll with it. It happens. Starlink does that sometimes, so just roll with it. So.
Yeah. So Iranian So recently released, Iranian hackers sent stolen Trump campaign information to people associated with the Biden campaign. Uh, so Iranian hackers sent unsolicited information they stole from Donald Trump's presidential campaign to people who are affiliated with Joe Biden's campaign over the summer. Federal law enforcement officials have said on Wednesday. This was released back on Thursday.
Mhm.
Was it this Thursday? Yeah, this was this Thursday. So this was just recently released. Uh, Based on the news, nobody responded, so we don't know if they did anything with it.
Mhm.
The Biden campaign is cooperating with the FBI. They said we have cooperated with the appropriate law enforcement authorities since we were made aware that the individuals associated with the Biden campaign were among the intended victims of the foreign influence operation, said Morgan Finkelstein, the national security spokesman for the Harris campaign. They were made aware of it, and they are actively cooperating with the FBI.
Okay. Yeah. What are your thoughts about that?
Uh, I think it's interesting. Iran is affiliated with Russia, and I think it's interesting that they would hack Donald with how much Russia has tried to push Donald Trump in the past. I think it's interesting that Iran would hack Trump and try to send Biden information and uh, to use against Trump. I feel like this was a trap that they were trying to set on Biden
Mm-hmm.
to like pull at the last minute and fucking swing the election. And the fact that they didn't do anything with it is very good.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're cooperating with law enforcement is absolutely a good thing here.
Yep. It goes to show they have nothing to hide, honestly. The thing I find most
Yeah,
interesting about that story is the fact that it's Iranian hackers. I don't know if the story said that they were affiliated with the Iranian government, because the Iranian government, ever since like their president was actually killed in a helicopter crash, which I actually did cover a few months back. Um, I don't know if it's gotten back online or gotten back in order essentially, but Iran and Donald Trump don't get along very well, because ever since he pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, they've basically like legitimized themselves to basically start, enriching uranium more often. Because under the Iran nuclear deal, they were actually restricted to how much uranium they could actually harvest and enrich. But ever since we pulled out of that, they basically said, well, now we can do whatever the hell we want to, which basically got them closer to, and I don't know if they've gotten any nukes built, but it's brought them a lot closer to it. Now, you're 100% correct. The fact that the Biden administration said, hey, listen, we had nothing to do with this. We're doing our job. We're reporting this. But of course, obviously, Trump and all of his sycophants are saying, oh my God, the Biden administration was sent this information. It's the fact that he's reporting it and the fact that they're cooperating should tell everything. But of course, no one's going to care
oh,
about that.
absolutely.
They're not going to care about that. They're going to be like, well, it just matters that the fact that the Iran sent this to the Biden administration. And they're cooperating with it.
Yeah.
Trump literally said, Russia, send me dirt on Hillary Clinton. Ukraine, hey, can you give me any dirt on the Biden family? But, I mean, we're not friends with Iran whatsoever. But the thing is, though, is that, like,
No.
this is information that was, because it's sort of like, how do I put this? It would be kind of like illegally obtaining evidence against your opponent, or let's say, for example, you're a police department and somebody illegally steals information and the police knowingly take it. They can't use that in a court of law because it's inadmissible, because the information was stolen. There was no warrant to obtain this information. So the fact that the Biden administration reported this and actually says we're cooperating at this point shows that, hey, listen, we don't like Donald Trump. We
Well,
denounce him. What's up?
it also depends on how with the law enforcement thing. It also depends on how it was obtained.
Yeah.
If it was, if you know it was stolen, you can't use it. But if it was given to you anonymously and you don't know it was stolen, then you can use it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, because they know this was stolen, essentially, but they still did the right thing. They still reported it, which is a really key component. But I'm not surprised by it because
Yeah.
that's how the process is supposed to work. But, you know, Trump is such a moron. He doesn't understand like how the government's supposed to work regarding that. That's why he was like trying to dig dirt and get dirt on Joe Biden, and then that's why he was impeached for that phone call with Zelensky. This
Mhm.
perfect phone call, which is kind of interesting because when people say that Trump was acquitted from that impeachment, he not necessarily was. It's just key witnesses like John Bolton were not allowed to come forward and testify. It could have turned out differently if he was allowed to testify, but because they only had like a few people, to include Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, it just kind of fell apart. But due to the fact that members of Congress and the Senate didn't allow certain key witnesses to testify, it just kind of fell apart from there. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I look at this story as, okay, it's being investigated. Let's see what they find out. They did the right thing. It's a nothing burger as of right now. But everybody that supports Donald Trump is losing their minds over this. And they swear up and down that the Biden administration and the Harris-Walz campaign is in cahoots with Iran. Of course they're going to say that. They've got nothing.
It also shows the difference in the degree of integrity.
Mhm.
Because if this was Trump, if they were to send information from the Biden campaign to Trump, Trump would use that information, whereas the Biden information getting the information from the Trump campaign, they're not using that information, and they're cooperating with the authorities. That it shows the difference. It shows the Biden and Harris campaign now actually has integrity. There's a massive difference there.
100% agreed. Because, Trump comes from the Roy Cohn school of thought, where you have to win by any means necessary. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter how many people you throw under the bus. You have to win. Never admit that you lost. Win by any means necessary. That's the Roy Cohn school of thought, and that's the same way that Donald Trump has been running for years. Win by any means necessary. Doesn't matter what you have to do, how many people have to undercut, and it's bad. Like and that's some of the other things I'm going to be talking about tomorrow on the Hippy Dippy Recruitment. Yeah, for those not aware, I'm going to be on a Hippy Dippy Recruitment panel tomorrow. That's at 2:30 p.m. or 2 p.m. I'm sorry, but I kind of going back to this. But you're 100% correct. The fact that the Biden administration reported this and the Harris campaign reported this, it goes and shows like, listen, we don't condone this. We're sharing you this information, and it could be just nothing. It could be like, what Donald Trump ordered for breakfast on this date at this time. It could be nothing. But the thing is, if you hide this information, it makes you look a lot worse. Even if you felt it's nothing, if you don't report this, it makes you look guilty, because then people will start digging deeper. If they're hiding this, what else are they hiding? It could be completely innocent. But if you don't display and share this information, it's going to hurt you in the long run.
Absolutely. And I will be right back. I got to grab my other drink, go to the bathroom, and one of my speakers fell over.
Sure, not a problem. Yep, I'll just let everybody know that once again, if you're just now tuning in, this is Current Events on Tap, and I have the guest tonight is Vigilante, a good friend of the show. This is his first time on Current Events on Tap, and I always like doing shows like this because I feel like I have good quality conversations on here. Some people like to go for the click. Some people like to go for the drama stuff. The drama stuff is only fun if you like that, but I don't know. I don't like. Every now and then I might get involved in the drama stuff. I may it's kind of like those things you kind of feel dirty afterwards, something like that. But I usually try to do conversations like this because I feel it's more in depth. I feel you can actually learn something, because I try to bring on two different topics that I think are important, and then my guest brings on two topics that they think are important. And I think it's good for us to kind of come together and just say, hey, why do we find this topic so important? So, yeah, yeah, be sure to check out Vigilante. He's got some good content over there on his channel as well. Always a good faith conversation. So, but yeah, if you haven't done so already, feel free to go to, if you're not watching me on YouTube, if you're watching me on Twitch, or, feel free to go to all my platforms. Just type in the Alex Curse Project and just hit like, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards, because this is like where I like to have good faith conversations, and this is the place to have it. I'm all about having good conversations. If you know of anybody that's interested in coming on one of these days, just feel free to send me a message, especially on the X platform. I'm always willing to have any guests, but if I think you're just somebody that I can't have a conversation with, then I'm just pretty much going to ignore you. It's like, hey, listen, I don't think you and I would have a good conversation, and just kind of go from there. But I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk to anybody that like leans left, leans right, extreme left, extreme right, is a moderate, what have you. I'm all about it. I mean, I'm all about having like the good faith conversations. And Vigilante is now back. All right. So, did you get a refill on your beverage?
Yep. Yep. I grabbed another Mountain Dew.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, as I was saying, it's like it's really, really important that we maintain that good faith with our intelligence agencies, because they're the ones that, we can have our criticism of like how they operate sometimes. They're only human. They're going to make mistakes, okay? But still, they have a job to do. I mean, if a fire department screws up, you're not going to stop calling the fire department, if a fire breaks out. It goes with any job. A cashier at the local grocery store accidentally, mixes your meat with your vegetables, and it cross-contaminates. You're not going to stop going to that store. People make mistakes. It happens. It happens all the time. But the fact of the matter is like, the facts is that Iran hackers, which we have no way of knowing whether they were affiliated with the government or not, leaked information to the Biden administration, the Harris campaign, and they said, listen, we're cooperating with our intelligence agencies, and they're going to let us know what happens. There's nothing more to say about that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and just the fact that they're actually cooperating shows them pretty much just says everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just the massive difference between the two.
Huge difference. Because like you said, if it was like Russia or Ukraine that had like information on like Vice President Harris, you'd bet your bottom dollar that Donald Trump would be like, oh, let's not disclose this. And his sycophants would be like, oh, this is great, this is breaking news. But of course, I really can't trust what most of them say on X, because 9 times out of 10, it's bullshit. Because they'll say things like, oh my God, this is truly devastating. We now have the Biden campaign. We now have Joe Biden. I've been hearing that for 4 years now. Like, I remember when Joe Biden first took office, Marjorie Trader Green, yes, I call her Marjorie Trader Green, said she's going to file articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. So that went nowhere. James Comer says that they were going to file articles, Jim Comer is going to file articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. Still hasn't done it yet, even though he says they've got all the evidence to basically put Joe Biden away. Nothing. That just goes to show how desperate they are, honestly.
It's ironic because there was, nobody ever talks about it, but there's the videos and pictures of them giving the fucking Proud Boys and shit fucking behind the scenes tours of the U.S. Capitol prior to January 6th.
Oh yeah, Lauren.
And that's why like yep, and that's why the Proud Boys knew exactly where the fuck to go.
And they were casing the joint. That's exactly what they're doing too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. That's exactly how I want to do it, because no tours were supposed to be happening that day, but Lauren Boebert gave one. So.
Yep, and people want to act like January 6th wasn't a fucking inside job when we have actual fucking proof that it was.
Yeah. But, I remember in 2022 when Marge, during her debate against Marcus Flowers, it was like one of the worst debates I've ever seen. It was like a half an hour long, and they pretty much you know, gave her softball questions. When he called her out on January 6th, she actually had the audacity to say that she was just as much a victim as anybody else, and it was her first few days in office. When she actually celebrated herself going into Brandon Straka, who was dressed up like a January 6th prisoner at the RNC inside of a cage where like they were pretending to pray for it. Good God Almighty. But the fact is like she shows more support to people that like tried to overthrow our democracy than people that actually fought to protect her and all the other elected officials on that day. That's just pathetic. That is sad. I mean, it makes you wonder where the loyalties really lie.
The fact that Boebert, Trump, and MTG and them, the ones that actually tried to overthrow our democracy, aren't fucking changed yet, or charged with, or just charged with treason yet, is fucking insane to me.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that guy Trump has been handled with more kid gloves than I've ever seen when it comes to cases like this. But it's really hard for me to say as to like why is it he's handled so delicately. But I think the reason why is because the Justice Department has to be right. They have to be correct. Because the second that you're wrong about something, his base is going to lose their minds and they're going to say, "Oh my God, see, this is proof right here." Marge just needs to lose the next election, but where she lives at in Georgia, it's not even where she's from, but it's just the district that she's in charge of because you can do that in Georgia. They are like a lot of the people there aren't very well educated. You know, I mean, how it is people can vote for her is beyond me because she's not that well educated. She's not that intelligent. She doesn't know how Congress works, even after 4 years of being in Congress. She doesn't understand how it works. She doesn't understand the process. But yet people are still going to vote for her again. She's an idiot. That's all there is to it. She's like one of the worst people in Congress. And I say she's worse than Boebert, for crying out loud. And Boebert's an absolute fool. She gets pwned all the time by witnesses because she doesn't understand how government works. But, it's just you got people on that side of the aisle that don't know how the government works, but they somehow get elected into office because they have a certain person's endorsement. It's insane.
No, with MTG, I guarantee you she gets elected on her looks. And the second she gets older and her looks start to degrade, she's no longer going to get elected.
It's entirely possible. But I think it's because, of her loyalty towards Trump. That's what saves her the most because she is utterly devoted to the guy. I mean, just imagine if it got out that she knows that he lost the 2020 election and she knows that he actually lost by a landslide and that he needs to stop what he's doing with this whole nonsense is doubling down that he won the election. He would denounce her immediately. She would lose her endorsement of him and then she would not be able to win election. That's all it would take. Because that's the kind of guy he is. You don't go along with what he says. He will denounce you. He'll forget you. He'll pull his endorsement of you. It's that simple. So I don't know if she'll do it. I don't think she has the courage to do it. She's kind of a coward, in my opinion. And I would definitely say it to her personally, too. So, but I'm sorry. We keep deviating on topic. But anyway, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Trump's endorsement goes a long way for some weird ass reason. Even here in Ohio, you look at Sherrod Brown, who's been our senator for fucking years, who's extremely popular in the state. It's 50-50 on whether he's going to get reelected against Bernie Moreau, who's a guy who literally got charged with stealing fucking people's wages and is an fucking piece of shit, and somehow it's fucking 50-50 on whether or not the fucking piece of shit's going to be elected or somebody who's an extremely fucking popular senator.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking insane, man.
Yeah. Now the senator you have right now is he a Democrat or something like that?
He's a Democrat.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier that Ohio is a red state. It's not. It's still purple. It's just fucking. It's only gone red the past 2 years for Trump,
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, it was blue both times Obama went elected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Like, I think the reason I said red is because like some of the policies that have been passed in Ohio made it more red. Like, for example, when the 10-year-old grape victim, I'm saying grape just for like TOS purposes, had to leave the state after she was raped uh, by a predator and was pregnant. She had to leave the state in order to get the abortion taken care of, which I think is completely disgusting. And the fact that,
Well, that's because our Senate and our House and our Senate and our House are red because of gerrymandering. Our issue one is actually that's coming up. This election is actually an anti-gerrymandering bill to try to fix that. Our House and Senate are extremely and like our districts in general are extremely gerrymandered. So like Ohio looks a lot more red than it is. In the midterms, actually, this past midterms, and like obviously everybody knows that during the midterms, Republicans come out more than Democrats, right? We passed an abortion amendment to protect abortion here in Ohio, and we passed legal weed. So, like, just the fact that we passed an abortion amendment to protect abortion and passed legal weed in the midterms shows that Ohio's voter base is not as red as people think it is.
Well, hopefully the blue voters come out in support of Harris and Walz in 2024 because we need it. We really need it. Let on the fact that I think like with the comments that that the sheriff has made and the comments that JD Vance and Trump has made, hopefully that really just makes the difference for this upcoming election. I mean, because that dude Vance, he's such an idiot. That dude's such. I mean, yeah, he might have gone to Yale, but just can't stand the guy.
From my understanding, Vance is not very popular here. Even though yes, he is a senator from here, he got elected during the midterms. From my understanding, he's not very popular. I am hoping that like while the polls are showing that Trump is going to win here in Ohio, I am hoping that it is wrong and Harris and Walz here in Ohio. It would shut a lot of people up here in Twitch poll that think Ohio is a red state.
Mm-hmm.
I will fucking laugh my ass off if they do win Ohio, because it will prove me right as somebody who lives in Ohio, and I've been sitting here saying that Ohio is not a red state. Because like I argue with people all the time saying like Ohio is not a red state. We've passed legal weed. We've passed an abortion amendment, like in the fucking midterms. Like it's just Ohio is a Rust Belt state. You also live in a Rust Belt state. You understand that people in Rust Belt states vote based on mostly populist policies, things that they think are going to better affect the economic systems.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, people here in Ohio have been fooled by Trump for the past few years. Harris is actually a populist. If she actually ramps up and talks more, especially the debates, I think the debates actually are going to help her here in Ohio.
Yeah. If there's going to be another one. But, and before we move on to the next topic, I think it's interesting to bring this up because when she picked Tim Walz to be a running mate, that was like a huge boost because you want to talk about a populist candidate that has good positions. That guy did a great job as the governor for the state of Minnesota. A lot of his policies that he did there are overwhelmingly popular, whether it's rights of workers, paid maternity leave, free school breakfast and lunches, making sure that, corporations pay their fair share in taxes in the state of Minnesota. He was great, and progressives love this guy.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, like, while he's not perfect, his policies are overwhelmingly popular, and he's done a fantastic. And he's relatable too. He's very relatable because JD Vance has been funded by millionaires and billionaires like Peter Thiel, who started PayPal, and he lives in a really expensive mansion, which I don't care about that. But people claim that Tim Walz is military because he lives in a big mansion. That's the governor's mansion. What are you talking about? Him and his wife make at most
Yeah.
$300,000 a year, and then and the thing is, like, people call him an agent of China. No, he just goes there because he teaches Chinese kids how to speak English. He speaks fluent Mandarin, apparently. This is good. This is like qualification. This is like what it means to be a real statesman, essentially. But and that's why I thought it was so good when she picked him, because he's overwhelmingly popular. I like him much better than Josh Shapiro and Andy Bashar from Kentucky. So who's actually being the next topic. But yeah, Rust Belt issues. Yes, 100%. Because I live in Michigan, and I see the progress, and I see how important jobs like this are, and I see like that populist issues like infrastructure, gas prices, or like jobs. These are all overwhelmingly important issues that we focus on here. I mean, it's important everywhere, but especially in the Rust Belt.
Hmm. And that's why Trump wins places like Ohio. That's why in the past against like Hillary, Trump and Biden, Trump has won places like Ohio. He came close to winning Pennsylvania, and he won Pennsylvania against Hillary. It's because of It's because of populism, and like you have to have a populist candidate in order to win the Rust Belt.
Absolutely, 100%. Which is funny because like where I live at, it's a very conservative area. There's a lot of good people in this area, but it's very, very, very staunchly conservative, and they focus a lot on issues that I try to focus on issues that I think we could all relate to, because there's a lot of farmers out in
Mhm.
this area, and some of those important issues I've actually found out, like in rural areas, it's not water, it's not fuel. The most important issue for like rural areas is hospital and healthcare, because some places don't have major hospitals nearby. Some people have to take wait for an ambulance for 45 minutes, and then they gotta go another 45 minutes to get to
Yeah.
the hospital. And like those are like, I didn't know that, but I talked to on one of my platform on here. It was on a one-on-one. I talked to the guy that he's the chair of the Michigan Rural Caucus. But anyway, I'm getting off topic too much. So, was there anything else you want to say about like Iran hackers, or do you want to move on to the next topic?
We can move on to the next topic.
All right, it was a good topic. Don't get me wrong. It's good though. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's funny we keep ending up back into healthcare.
Yep, absolutely right. Healthcare is a really important issue. So, all right, so
I feel like healthcare is probably the most important issue for both of us.
it really is, because like I've got asthma now. I've been recently diagnosed with asthma as a result of the burn pits from Iraq and Afghanistan. So yippee, yay me! That's why I keep eating cough medicine, cough drops, and now I got an inhaler too. So, but anyway, all right. So topic number two, Governor Andy Bashar. I probably butchered that name, but I'm sorry. Earlier this week signed a bill banning conversion therapy for LGBTQ plus minors. Now, for those not aware what conversion therapy is, it is the practice of attempting to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity as a means of finding a gay cure. Now, it's been condemned by the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and the American Psychology Association. It has been proven that these practices, as I say, cause more harm than good. There are stories of children being subjected to such practices as physical and psychological abuse, even sexual abuse, electrocution, isolation, and confinement, and other forms of humiliation. Conservatives have opposed the bill by the governor and believe he is trying to spread a harmful far-left agenda on struggling kids, as stated by Representative Josh Calloway. He believes that Andy Bashar is trying to keep vulnerable children confused. Now, 12 other Republican state senators have slammed the governor in this order. Now, as somebody who's not an expert in mental health or gender affirming care, the research that I have done confirms that gender affirming care isn't like a one-time session and then boom, you're gonna go to a doctor without your parents' knowledge and you get a mastectomy or castrated to become your desired gender. It's not gonna work like that. It doesn't work that way. It is a process over many years to help those who are feeling like they don't belong, like they might feel a certain way. They might have certain feelings they don't really know how to understand. They don't know how to express themselves. Like a certain boy might like things that women like, or he might feel like he feels a certain way about it. He doesn't know how to express that because he's surrounded in an area where he doesn't feel like he can confide in anybody. Now, this care is like therapy. It kind of gives them an understanding about these feelings. It helps them understand about what these feelings mean, where it takes them from there. Now, it doesn't mean all minors that take this are automatically going to transition or they're going to continue feeling this way, but they might understand it. It's like, well, wait a second. I don't like girls. I like boys kind of deal. It's just like, it might help them give some clarity. For all we know, these children might realize, well, listen, I'm a boy, but I don't like boys. I like girls kind of deal. And it might help them understand why they might be feeling this way. And this gender-affirming care can actually help them reach those conclusions. That's what therapy is all about, essentially. It can actually help them just, stay straight. Nothing wrong with that either. Now, this is why therapy is so important. And mental health, especially in this country, is severely undervalued, which I think it's another thing. Once again, talk about healthcare. But mental health care is especially important because it gives people a sense of closure, or what I call continuous closure. And because there's nothing wrong with going to therapy, essentially. But you don't do this with conversion therapy. I consider that indoctrination or torture. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but with some of the practices that I've read of some of the things that these young people have been subjected to in conversion therapy camps, you could easily substitute the word counselor at these camps with the word Nazi, and it would stick. The exact same policies that the Nazis did to the Jews are the same things some of these counselors, not all counselors, but some of these counselors did to some of these people, to some of these young people, because they were told that there's something wrong with you. No, you can't be gay. There is something wrong with you, which is, to me, is completely evil. And I'm not much of a religious person, but I would feel the same way. If a religious person was taken to a camp and they were tortured and they were brainwashed and basically subjected to electric therapy to renounce their religious beliefs, that's not okay with me. The same thing can be said for people that are LGBTQ+. There's nothing wrong with them. Some people just, have different feelings than the rest of all of us. And to think that you can just torture somebody is monstrous. To me, it's inhumane. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, conversion therapy honestly needs to be federally outlawed. It's a monstrous practice. I don't it there's more than just conversion therapy. The distressed teens camps, the troubled teen camps, they're just as bad.
Mm-hmm.
They literally use the same practices as conversion therapy camps. You'll see people, you can find stories on TikTok from people that have been to the fucking troubled teen camps and
Dr. Phil's camp.
And and you'll find people that have gone to the conversion therapy camps and they're the exact same fucking stories.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference between the conversion therapy camps and the troubled teen camps is sometimes you'll hear stories about people being raped at the conversion therapy camps.
Mm-hmm.
So it's both of them need to be outlawed. They're fucking disgusting. The therapy is what we need. We need better therapy. We need better mental health care. We need to put a much more importance on therapy and mental health in this country. We have a massive negative outlook on mental health and therapy in this country, and it's honestly stupid. People look at it as if you need therapy, you're weak or you're mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be mentally ill to need therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Reagan did a massive disservice to our country whenever he defunded our public mental health services back in the 60s, I think it was, whenever he was president. Uh, Not only did that cause the fucking mental health crisis where we have basically no mental health services in this country, it also caused the fucking homelessness problem that we have right now.
Yeah.
Fucking 90% of our homeless people are fucking mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if we had the fucking mental hospitals that we had back then, we wouldn't have the homelessness problem that we have now.
Yeah.
That's just a side. That's just a side note, but yeah, we just need to put a more of a focus on mental health care and uh, people being able to be mentally healthy and understanding themselves. And yeah, like you mentioned, gender affirming care. Gender affirming care is not always uh, gender affirming care is a long process that's not very well understood by a lot of people. It kind of goes through like understanding whether or not you're trans, or like whether or not you believe you're the gender that you are.
Mm-hmm.
um it can lead to you still believing or still accept accepting that you're the gender that you are.
Yeah.
It can lead, like you said, it can lead to you deciding that you're straight.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally therapy.
Yeah.
Um, and just people don't understand how much we actually need therapy in this country.
Yeah. Absolutely agreed. And that's why I bring stuff like this up, because there's always been a stigma about people going to therapy. It's like, no, just like you'll have like certain guys say, oh, you don't need therapy, just go to the gym. No, that it doesn't work for everybody. Everybody handles like stress, or they handle like mental health crises way differently. Like and I'll even be vulnerable myself for a second. I took therapy. I was still active duty in the army. It's because I was going through a really rough patch in my life and I needed to talk to somebody. Now listen, there are people out there that think, oh, just talk to a friend of yours. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with talking to a friend of yours. They might be able to help you out, but it's always good to talk to somebody that has no idea who you are.
Mm-hmm.
They can offer a completely different point of view for you. They can offer a different perspective because they have no personal connection to you. I mean, I understand why some people that might be
Absolutely.
religious, why some people that are religious, they might talk to their pastor, which is fine. Go talk to your pastor, but your pastor already knows who you are, so they already have that bias towards you. Now, pastors have been known to be very helpful, but this is why I say going to a therapist can offer you a different perspective, because then they can offer you because they might tell you something that you never would have thought about before. Some people that is like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Just man the fuck up. You'll be okay. Or, no, listen, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. But that's not helping you. It's not helping you find like what you could do to better yourself. Because, I've known people, right? I've known people. As long as I'd known them, I've always known them as one gender. One person I served with, was known as one name, but now she's known by a different name. And, I accept that, because this is now she truly feels like she's her true self, which is really, really important, because that is the main focal issue. You finally feel like you can be happy. And, there's a few people out there that are trans that have feelings about this, which I can get. I understand why they might feel, like, for example, they feel like children should not be given, like gender affirming care, or they should not be like on hormone blockers. Now, I don't know a whole lot about this, but I do know like at least get the therapy, because it might answer a few questions here that they might have essentially. Now, there's always a wrong way for stuff like this to be done. Like, I'm not saying all people have an agenda. There might be somebody that like might be trying to like coerce somebody to go a certain way, which I'm not okay with. Like, when it comes to being like a therapist of some sort, you're supposed to be like as objective as possible, and you're only supposed to help, your main goal is to help somebody understand how they're feeling, essentially. If you have an agenda and you're just trying to like groom people a certain way, then yeah, that's kind of a different story. But like, I look at certain influencers that feel like no, children should not get gender affirming care. I feel like that's a huge disservice, because there are so many children that get unanswered questions and they end up becoming a statistic, instead of like in the negative sense too, not the positive statistic, one that can actually help benefit and show, listen, it's okay, you are not alone, you can actually get the care that you need, and this is the resource.
Mhm.
If stuff like that was out there, that would probably save a lot more lives than actually put more lives at risk, essentially. I mean, that's just what I feel like. That's sometimes that's what people need. They need to know that they have a sense of belonging. They feel like they actually have a sense and a purpose in life to continue. I mean, that's my personal point of view. I mean, I'll never go through this because I'm perfectly happy in my own skin. I'm perfectly happy with the kind of person I am, but I can't speak for other people that might have certain feelings a certain way, if you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I mean, and like there are plenty of religious therapists out there. If you're a religious person, there's plenty of Christian therapists out there. If fuck, no matter what religion you are, you could probably find a therapist out there that fits your religion. Uh, I've like as a pagan, even I've found a pagan therapist before, which actually surprised me. You can find a therapist that is the same religion as you. Like it's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like like it Therapy is a very important thing. Uh, it helps for people to understand themselves. It helps you to uh, learn better coping skills. The whole like just man up, go to the gym. It's not a healthy That's not a healthy coping mechanism. It's I hate to use the liberal talking point, but it's just toxic. It's just toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Uh, it's we need to get out of that mentality. Actually need to learn how to talk about our issues.
Yeah.
People and I'm obviously not very good at talking about my feelings.
Sure.
I'm working on learning how to do that myself. Like, and I'll even share like I've had I've gotten to the point of like having a manic break before, and like it's scary. Like when I've gotten to manic breaks in the past, like I unironically, like when I get down to a manic break, I sit there and just fucking laugh like the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I've been told it's extremely scary for people around
Yeah.
me. Um, so like having having mental breaks is not. It's better to learn how to talk about your feelings and actually cope than
Mm-hmm.
push yourself to the breaking point. Like and that's why therapy is important. So like actually know how to cope with stress, and you actually have somebody besides just your friends and people around you, like your pastors or
Mm-hmm.
uh, colleagues or bosses or whatever,
Sure.
to talk to about your feelings,
Yeah.
or even your partner. Like sometimes there's like stuff that you need to talk about that you shouldn't talk to your partner about.
Yeah.
Like if you're having issues with your partner,
Yeah.
like
No, no, you're 100% right. And
and
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And that's not even going into the gender affirming care and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that whole thing, like that's just it's just people trying to figure out who they are.
Yep. And that's why, like, this whole conversion therapy business is like some of the stories that I've read. Like, there was one person that gave a testimony talking about like how when I got sent to not me personally, but this person says like when I got sent to conversion therapy camp, like I hated myself. Like they made me feel so guilty just for being who I am, and just and we're talking about somebody that just like is like all it is like they're just gay. They're like this person was like they had feeling towards other men, consenting adult men, and like or people of the same age group, and they were basically told that there's something wrong with you, and like they were basically harassed and guilted and just told that they need to turn their life to God and things like it's just like which I find completely offensive. Honestly, I find that disgusting. But like I look at it like this: if you have to guilt people to believe a certain way, I consider that completely dishonest. Like it's sort of like it's very abusive. It's sort of like if you're in a relationship and if your partner always guilts you and just believe in a certain way, it's not a healthy relationship. And this whole gay conversion therapy business, it's evil because it's basically telling people that just feel differently from you do that there's something wrong with them essentially. And it's just it's really important to focus on like this is why therapy is so important because you know um they might find something about themselves and it'll just tell them it's like listen, the feelings I'm feeling, there's nothing wrong with them, especially like when it comes down to dealing with people that are consenting adults. I mean, obviously there's outliers that you and I can agree to, but we're not talking about those. We are talking about people like a man that believes that he is in love with other men of consenting age. There's nothing wrong with that, honestly. But like, when it comes down to like people that happen to be trans, it's just because like the best way I've heard it described, it's like, and I think it was like between Destiny and Rob Noor, where he said he's talking about like how he had basically asked Rob, it's like if you woke up tomorrow in a woman's body, but you've always known yourself as a man, how do you think you would feel? And Rob's like, I feel like I would be trapped in the wrong body. It's like that's the best argument that you can make for somebody that's like trans. And I've seen a lot of people that are trans for years they struggle with their identity. They truly felt like this is not me. They look in the mirror and they just don't feel right. They don't feel like this is the person they are supposed to be. And that's why it's important for them to to find out what is it that I need to do to correct this behavior. What is it I need to do to fix myself? And the answer to that is mental health. Going to somebody that can help you understand, and maybe you'll find something good about yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. This is good. This is positive. And I believe that's the best way to do it. And that's why like I'm completely against conversion therapy, because it's not it has shown that it does not have any positive outcomes. It's very negative outcomes. It actually doesn't help anybody. It makes them feel worse about themselves because you're guilting them to feel they can't follow through with who they are. But when you go to a therapist, somebody that's actually trained to actually help you communicate with you and actually come to it from a completely different angle, so undervalued in this in society.
Absolutely. And it's like you don't necessarily even just see the guilt tripping and stuff in just conversion therapy. Like even if you're honest that you have like feelings of being gay or bi and stuff
Mm-hmm.
as like a teenager or a kid, um in church in general, they in like certain types of communities you get that guilt trip and stuff, and you start to hate yourself. And I know that because I dealt with that myself, unfortunately, and I had to deal with that as part of my personal
Mm-hmm.
uh, deconversion process, and I, I I guess I'd call it deprogramming from the experiences that I had from the far right version of Christianity
Yeah.
that I was a part of,
Sure.
and yeah, it's those kind of feelings that are pushed on people. It's it doesn't just happen in conversion therapy, unfortunately, and it's an unfortunate thing. It shouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
People need to understand and be more accepting towards how people feel.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, people shouldn't look at stuff like that as a weakness. It's not. It's a way to better yourself. Because if I'm not willing to accept me for who I am, how can I accept anybody else for who they are? Kind of deal. I mean, I'm a firm believer in that, which is why it's so important for people to get the help they need. Which is why we need more therapists. Because I thought about being a therapist. I can't do it because like I feel like I can't help myself sometimes. So, but it's just it's a very real thing, and that's why like it's better for people to seek those out who might help them, you know, on their journey of like discovery. Because like I feel like a lot of us don't really understand who we are until we reach a certain age. And sometimes we need a guidance counselor. Sometimes we need a mentor. We need somebody that can kind of show us the way. And a therapist can definitely help point you in the right direction. Because my therapist, she helped me out, and I'm forever thankful for the way she helped me out. It was like a few sessions. I can't remember exactly. I think it was like 7 or 8 sessions or something. But they like lasted like 2 or 3 hours a piece. But they were good. Like they were good, positive sessions that helped me be the person that I am today, and I'm going to be forever
Mm-hmm.
thankful for that. And there are some people that they need that. They need that person, that guidance. They need that guidance from somebody that
Absolutely.
has that, unbiased opinion of you.
Yeah, the unbiased opinion definitely helps. Having an unbiased opinion on on decisions in your life, it helps. It definitely helps guide you and helps you make decisions. And therapy can also be more than that. It can help you learn healthy coping mechanisms. It can help you find out things that you don't know. A lot of people might have undiagnosed mental illnesses that they don't know about.
Yep.
Um, and with that, you can learn how to cope with those undiagnosed mental illnesses that you don't know about and get on proper medication to help deal with those issues so you can live more of a normal life and function more normally.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is why like this is why I give full praise to Governor Bashir for doing this, especially in a very very red state like Kentucky's, like no doubt about it. It's a red state, but you know it, it's
Absolutely.
it's great because like I remember watching the signing, and there was a few people that got very emotional about that because like I don't know what that person might have gone through, or if they thought about people they might have lost or people that have gone through that. But you could tell that this took an emotional toll on them because like there are people that are victims of this. And you know you could pull up any story of like, oh well, gay conversion therapy helped me. It doesn't help everybody though. There are more cases that I can possibly shake a stick at than people that have been humiliated and abused in this system. I mean, like we brought up like
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Phil's like Turnabout Ranch. That like what's her face? Cash Me Outside, how about that? She actually came forward and talked about like how yes, the counselors there, yeah, how the counselors there were verbally and physically abusive towards her. And let's be honest. I mean, like I thought she was annoying when she was on the Dr. Phil show, But the fact that she talked about like how many children were actually physically assaulted and verbally assaulted at that camp, that just goes to show that like this is why I really can't respect Dr. Phil anymore, because apparently he's full of it. Like that's why he had to give up his practice, and he calls himself Dr. Phil because he still earned the title, but he can't practice as a doctor anymore because of like things like that, you know. It's just it's frightening to think about.
Absolutely. There's a and like Dr. Phil's a great example of why we actually need vetting when it comes to things like therapy. Like why we need to vet people who are going for things like psychology degrees, because some people should not be allowed to be able to be psychologists. Like if you think being physically and emotionally abusive is okay, then you're not the type of person that should be a fucking psychologist.
Correct.
Like psychology is, and like being a therapist is meant to help people, especially people who are being abused, not to fucking abuse people. Like it's the exact opposite of what therapy and psychology are for. It's great that he lost his practice, but it shows the fact that he shouldn't have been allowed to be able to practice in the fucking first place.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we've pretty much like nailed this topic down. I mean, it's good stuff for us to talk about, because like hopefully more people realize that they understand that it's okay to get help. It's okay to get therapy. There's nothing wrong with it. Just find a good therapist that can help you out. I mean, that's all I ask. So, but all right, you want to go ahead and give your final topic for the evening?
Yes, let me get that video pulled up real quick.
Sure.
That is relevant to this one.
Sure.
Okay. And then okay. So, America First Legal Foundation demands follow-up civil rights investigation to Disney based on recent video evidence. The AFL renewed its request that the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission open a civil rights investigation of Disney regarding new allegations of racial discrimination in employment. In regards, in February, the AFL filed a federal civil rights complaint against Disney, the company's subsidiary, violating Title IX of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 by engaging in illegal race, sex, and national origin discrimination. And the context of this comes from this video right here. As soon as I share my screen.
All right.
Share screen. This one. Share. Is it sharing?
It's not sharing.
You have to allow it. It's you should see it in the bottom left.
Bottom left. Hold on a second. Oh, there it goes.
Yep.
There it is. All right, hit it.
Okay.
Hit it.
Times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken, but
how would they say it?
there's no way we're hiring a white male. They say
like straight to you, or okay.
They'd be very careful how they message that to the agents.
According to these videotapes, Disney blatantly discriminates against whites, white men in particular?
I think I'm sort of like well prepared for it. I'm well positioned for it. But as far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male, and that's not who they're looking to promote at the moment.
As a white guy, even Michael has his own doubts about the possibility for advancement for himself at Disney. In fact, Michael actually got to experience Disney's discrimination against white males firsthand.
I've been at the company 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in those divisions, and they're like, look, nobody else is going to tell you this, Mike, but
I don't think we need to watch the full 20 minutes of it, but the very first person was the vice president of Disney, straight up saying there are some times where they are just like, we're not gonna hire someone because they're a white male.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Even as a leftist, I want to be honest. I kind of think the AFL is valid on this one.
I think so too.
Like, this is technically discrimination.
It is.
Like, it's discrimination, and like this is a valid lawsuit. The fact that it was shot down the first time is fucking insane.
Yeah. No, 100%. Here's the thing, okay? I don't care what organization out there is reporting this, but like, if you do not get a job simply based upon your skin color, your sexual orientation, we got to be consistent. If it's discrimination, it should be denounced 100%. If a guy doesn't get a promotion, if a woman does, I mean, if this was like talking about like black people or Hispanics not getting jobs because of skin color, it would be nationwide news. Honestly, it would definitely be reported upon. So yeah, 100%. There is no reason for this. Now, could there possibly be more to it? It's possible. But Disney has a very steep hill to climb. I know they got a lot of very, very wealthy lawyers. They're one of the most successful movie companies or like industries in the country, maybe even the world. But even this would be really hard to defend, I think. Like, if they can show, well, wait a second, okay, there's a little bit more to this. There's a reason why we didn't hire this guy. There's a reason why he didn't get advanced. I'd be willing to hear that out. But if it's simply based upon somebody's skin color, yeah, you're fucked up like a football bat, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, there's literally video evidence of one of their VPs saying that there's some times where they're just like, we're not gonna hire somebody because they're straight white male. Mm-hmm. Like, it's kind of hard to refute that video evidence. Like,
yeah,
and now, granted, I don't know if Florida is a one-party consent state. He didn't know that was an interview. Like, he didn't know that was an undercover reporter. So I don't know if that would be admissible in court. But like, the fact that he actually said that is insane. You can't, like, that's literally, like, DEI is a good thing. Mm-hmm. Like, but there are so many instances lately of like companies taking DEI too far and or just like doing DEI completely wrong. Mm-hmm. This is an example of Disney just taking DEI too far. Like, you can't just refuse to hire somebody because they're white.
Yeah.
And like, have you followed the Snow White situation at all?
Yes. I saw it on Piers Morgan. I thought it was ridiculous. The actress they picked to play Snow White, she is against the story of Snow White in general. She doesn't buy into the story as well. The fact that, they initially tried to have it to where they weren't real dwarves. They were just people with special magical powers. But then they made CGI dwarves because they didn't want, like, I just, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Disney is known for making good stories. and I like the fact they make good stories. Like, I'm all about Pixar, the movie Up, Monsters Inc. I love that stuff, you know. I love good quality storytelling, but if you're just going for the edge just for the sake of looking woke or diverse, I think you've missed the mark. It's better if you just let the story tell itself and let the audience make that decision instead of trying way too fucking hard. And it drives me crazy. It really does.
And Snow White's not even a story that you can really, like, necessarily a story you can do the whole diversity thing with.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, Snow White is, like, supposed to be a white person. She literally gets her name from her skin being white.
Mhm.
So, like, the actress that they picked being somebody who's not white makes the story make no sense in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like,
You might get canceled for that, V. No, I get what you're saying.
well,
I get what you're saying, yeah.
I don't care. I don't care if I get canceled for that. Like,
Yeah.
her name literally comes from her skin being white as snow. That is literally the explanation, the canon explanation for
Yeah.
her name.
Sure.
So, like, like I support DEI.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
plenty of examples of where DEI makes sense.
Yeah.
But Snow White is not one of those fucking, like, even the Little Mermaid being black technically made sense.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it's just I haven't seen the new Little Mermaid. Maybe I just because I don't want to.
I haven't either.
But like the thing is like when Matt Walsh was like trying to turn it into like, well, technically, you know, if you're that far down below, you're gonna have like very translucent skin. It's like, dude, there's like lots of creatures in the deep bottom of the ocean that don't have translucent skin. Okay, so no, that doesn't make any sense. Like, all I care about is if the story is good. That's all I give a shit about. If the story is good and I can buy into the characters, that's all I care about. But apparently, people are like not gonna watch Snow White just because the actress is so unbearable.
Well, not even that. Well, not even that. Like, the way that the sun makes the water makes the sun even more enhanced on the skin. Like, the fact that she's black, that technically, like, if we had mermaids, it would make more sense that they would all be black because of the fucking the way that the sun works in water. Like, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, that is a DEI situation where it actually makes sense scientifically.
Yeah.
Like, but like then you have things like then you have DEI things like Concord, where it, like, all of the characters were shit. And then the game it's a fucking $400 million fucking flop because the game was fucking shit.
I don't.
It was also
I didn't play Concord. I don't think I played that one.
That nobody played it. It had like fucking 100 it literally, they shut down the servers after it being out for a week. That is literally how Sony spent $400 million on the game, and it was so unpopular and so bad that they shut it down after a week.
That's insane. Yeah, but like that's kind of like my point though. Is just like, listen, okay, you might throw me a character that is supposed to be white that is played by a black person, but if that person sells that role, I don't give a shit. Like, here's a great example in the new Dune movies, like that with Denis Villeneuve. The character of Liet Kynes in the book. Now, I love the books. Okay, Liet Kynes is a white guy that is part of the Empire, and he comes down and he gets married to a Fremen woman, essentially. But they changed the gender and the skin color of Liet Kynes. But Sharon Duncan Brewster, she fucking killed that role. She was awesome. She went like a total fucking boss in that movie. But the thing is, like, that's the difference. It's like if you can make the character sell the role, that's all I really give a shit about. But if you're just trying way too hard to make it seem like, listen, we are inclusive and we're gonna just throw it in your face, it's gonna stink. It's gonna stink really badly, and people are like, the fuck did I just watch? What did I just watch? I mean, and here's another great example, you know. And I'm like when Charlie's Angels, the new one, came out with Kristen Stewart, you know, and Elizabeth Banks directed it. She's like, people aren't ready for, you know, strong female characters. Motherfucker, look at Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver. She's like the epitome of like a badass female that's scared of the situation she's going into, but she still fucking goes in there and gets it done. I mean, like, it's when you try too hard is when it becomes a bit over the top.
Or you can look at the race swap of Yennefer and Witcher. Nobody complained about that.
No, she was great.
Nobody complained.
I love that actress. She's great.
Yeah, she's an amazing actress. The only thing that people complain about with The Witcher is the fact that they tried to change the fucking story.
Yes, I know.
Literally, Henry Cavill quit because they want to change the fucking story.
Yes. I'm on board with Henry Cavill because the dude's a nerd like us, you know. He understands how The Witcher is supposed to be done, but they stopped listening to him. Like, they're trying to make The Witcher something that it is not, and he's not on board with it.
Nobody cares about, like, you can do DEI, right?
Yeah.
The race swap on Yennefer. Nobody gives a shit. First of all, she's fucking hot.
Yeah.
Second of all, she's an amazing fucking actress.
Yes.
Like, and people, the Disney Star Wars Lucasfilm people think that Acolyte flopped because people are fucking racist. No, Acolyte, like, don't get me wrong, I think is kind of okay, but the reason Acolyte flopped is because of the script writing. The script writing was fucking dry as hell. The characters that they made were good characters. Just the script writing was dog shit.
Yeah.
If the script was better, it would have been a good show. The fucking Sith dude, his powers were great. His abilities were great. Also, they could have done Plagueis a lot better. Like, him showing up at the last second, fucking sitting there in the cut cave was fucking retarded.
Mm-hmm.
But they could have done a lot better. The person that they had write that knew nothing about Star Wars.
Really?
The Wookiee. She did. The Wookiee character from Star Wars, that the fucking Wookiee Jedi Master, was literally a fucking D&D character from her. Like, her extent of, like, writing for Star Wars was playing Star Wars D&D.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just because, like, here's the thing. There are certain, like, okay, I'll put it like this, okay? When I watched The Force Awakens in theaters, right? I was like, you know what? This could do very well. Then I saw The Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi. I can't remember which order they came in, but I was like, this is fucking atrociously bad writing. Then I watched Mandalorian Season 1 and 2. This is good writing. Watched Rogue One. This is great writing, you know? This is good writing here. Watched Andor. Andor is my favorite Star Wars series because the story is good. The story writing is there. You buy into the characters, but there are just some things that's like, what the fuck? And you know, here's the thing. The Book of Boba Fett, okay, was okay, but I didn't buy into like half of the characters. I'm like, these people, you could wipe them out and it would not change the story whatsoever. It would still be the same. But like, I feel like sometimes, especially Disney, tries so hard, and they tank. And you know, like, here's the thing. All I care about is if the story's good. And you know, I know. Once again, we're getting off topic and stuff like that, but it all plays together. Like,
it's relevant. It's
very relevant. Like, I care more about if the story is relevant. I care if the story is relatable. I care if the writing is good. The characters are solid. I don't care. Like, Doctor Who is a great example. My wife and I love Doctor Who. Captain Jack Harkness, played by John Barrowman, right? You know that the guy is a horny dude. Like, he will fuck anything that moves. He fucks women, men, the whole... I mean, John Barrowman's gay in real life, right? But the thing is, we treat it like it's normal because they don't, like, overdo it. It's just, it's his character. It's who he is. And he sells it. He makes it believable. And you like him as a character, not because he is, you know, he loves everybody and because he has sex with everything that has two legs, but it's because you like his character. And I think that's what people need to focus upon. Don't focus on just that one aspect because they are more than one thing. They have qualities about them that make them better people. But sometimes I feel like some entertainment industries take it to the next level because they want... I mean, The Boys did a great job of exploiting that. It's like, haha, that's like a thumb in the nose at it because, like, they made fun of the whole over the top, over inclusion stuff. And, you know, I'm all on board DEI, but just don't make it cringe, dude. Don't make it fucking cringe. Don't make it bad. Don't make it to the point, like, where it's like The Rings of Power. What the fuck is this shit? What the hell am I watching? It doesn't, like, it's bad writing. It's really bad writing.
Yeah, like there's so much good DEI, and there's so much stuff that has good DEI in it,
Sure.
whether it's video games or whether it's TV or movies and stuff. And people, when stuff with that's just fails, like they try to do over the top, they just blame it on people being sexist or racist or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not true. It's just, it tends to be bad writing or bad characters. Like I know the video game side and the side because I'm a fucking massive gamer. Like you get like Suicide Squad. Like even like I still, even with a lot of the complaints about Suicide Squad, I still wanted to get Suicide Squad and play it up until they came out with Mrs. Freeze. And and it wasn't even the fact that they gender swapped Mr. Freeze. It was, I saw the character and what they did with the character, and I'm just like, this looks like shit. What the fuck?
Yeah.
This is retarded.
Yeah.
You can do the gender swap shit. You can change the stories of people. That's fine. Just do it well.
Yes.
Make the characters look good. And like there's examples of like doing, like when Cyberpunk 2077 came out, nobody complained about the fact that you can make a trans fucking character.
Yeah.
Nobody complained about that. When like you don't get complaints about this kind of shit when there are good when games are good. You don't get complaints about this kind of shit when shows and movies are good. It's only when shit comes out and it's trash.
Yeah,
when the writing is trash, people are going to bitch.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like, when it comes to Cyberpunk, right? Like, I've only beaten the game once because the game is so massive. It's so big. But here's the thing. It's some of the best writing for a game that I've seen. Like, the acting is phenomenal. Like, Keanu Reeves just kills it as Donnie Silverhand. And you buy into what he's talking about. You actually believe in him. I felt like the endings, I was a little pissed off about it because I went and did all the 3 different endings just to kind of see what they all played out. But I feel like, you know, your character V didn't get anything out of it. Just didn't win whatsoever. But the thing is, the writing was solid. And I understood why people were so mad at Cyberpunk because it crashed. It crashed so much. It was buggy as all get out. But the story was so good. Oh my God, the story was great. So in depth.
Well, the thing about the crashes and stuff is like, people forget, like, CD Projekt Red isn't really good at releasing games stable. Like Witcher 3 is regarded as one of the best games of all time.
Chef's kiss.
But like if you look back, if you look back when it was first released, it was just as buggy as fucking Cyberpunk was.
But the story is good. The story is great. And that's what that's what I love about video games. Like I like games that have good stories. And like movies. I like movies that have great stories. That's important to me. And like I don't care. Like and if people like talk about DEI or like inclusiveness, I mean for crying out loud, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is like one of the most famous, musicals of all time. And it's like if some people like played it today, they'd be like, "Oh my god, this is so wokeism." I'm so no. It's the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I haven't seen it in years, but like it's all about like selling the story, and they do sell the story. And it may not be your cup of tea, which is fine, but like it's like we keep on saying, Disney is trying so hard to be so inclusive that it comes off as cringe. And like I said, the actress doesn't even like the story. She hates the story of Snow White, and she's so negative about it. And it's just like I think they brought up on the Piers Morgan show, talk about like how they didn't want to bring real dwarves in because real dwarves would be offended by this. I'm like, I think I would be more offended because you're speaking on my behalf. Like you're trying to tell me how I should feel about this, which I find really offensive, honestly. Like if you portray,
bro, it's like, bro, get the dude from Game of Thrones.
Oh, he wouldn't do it. He's made that clear. He's already made it clear he would never do another role like that for the sake of him, like for being a little person. He says he wouldn't do another role like that. He's actually got another movie coming out. It's him and Josh Brolin are brothers, and they're professional thieves. It looks fucking hilarious, though. Like it's called Brothers. You should look it up on YouTube. It looks great. But even he didn't like his role as much as Tyrion Lannister because of the fact that Tyrion Lannister is a little person, so he doesn't like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's fair.
Yeah, but like the thing is, like there are plenty of actors out there that would be willing to do roles like that, because like they are dwarves. But it's just like you just gotta find them. Like there's plenty of talent out there. But I just gotta look at it like this: would I be more offended by the fact that they didn't want to cast any dwarves because they don't want to offend anybody, or the fact they didn't ask any dwarves? Would you really willing to be? And like if they interviewed all actors that happen to be dwarves to be in this role and they didn't want to do it, then yeah, go CGI dwarves all day long. Do what you got to do. But like the fact that they try to make like the dwarves like not even dwarves, they try to make them like magical people that had special powers. I mean, like, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, like Disney, seriously, man, go back to writing good story. Like, make something original for crying out loud. But they're selling Snow White because they know it's gonna make a shit ton of money. Probably, we'll see if it does. So.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even just Disney that's trying too hard. Like Sony's trying too hard. Mm-hmm. You got so many companies out here that are just they're just trying too hard. Like you don't need to try that hard. Like just throw in a couple fucking women, a couple black characters, or a couple fucking like it doesn't even matter. Like you can race swap somebody for like an original for a story that's not original. Like it really doesn't matter. Like you got DC that like they brought in and did fucking Blue Beetle, who's not even like the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, who's not even like one of the most popular characters. And like they did the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle really fucking well.
Was it a good movie? Because I haven't seen it.
In my opinion, it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Because I know it's the same kid that was in that's in Cobra Kai, I think.
Was he in Cobra Kai?
Yeah, he's the first sensei for Johnny Lawrence. No, the student for Johnny Lawrence. I can't remember what his name is, but like Johnny Lawrence hooks up with his mom and stuff like that. So in the show, that is. So
okay.
Yeah, but like I haven't seen it just because like I think I would just have been kind of like tuning out some of the hero movies, but like it would have to be like really particular. But like that's kind of like the whole thing with like the whole superhero biz and stuff like that is like, here's a good example. When Avengers Endgame came out and they did She's Got Help, I was a little it's like, oh, that was a little over the top. Come on. I mean, it seemed like you were trying to push something a little bit more. But then like when I saw The Boys, I felt like in season 2 towards the end, I thought they did a good job of that when like the whole girls get it done thing. I don't know if you watch The Boys, but like there's a way there's a way to push something like that, and there's a way to do it and make it fucking sell. And that's what to me is more important. But like that's what I mean by this. And it's just like, I would much rather like something get there based upon its merits and it just does it well, instead of just like for the sake of being inclusive. I mean, it's great to be inclusive, but don't do it at the detriment of other people. I mean, that to me is over the top. I mean, and I'll put it like this. If you are denying people the right to employment, if you're denying people to be employed simply because their skin color, or if you are denying like a character that you're going to make a movie for because you want to be inclusive, you're a bit fucked up in my opinion. Like if you're doing it and like for example, let's say for example, if what's it called? If you bring in a character that is supposed to be white, but you want to hire a character that's not white, and it's just simply because I'm doing this to be inclusive, but the person stinks, sucks at the role, you fucked up then. You did a terrible job at this. You're doing this for all the wrong reasons, and I find that more patronizing, honestly. I find it very patronizing, and you shouldn't do stuff like that. Go based upon the merits, because you can bring in a actor, actress, or you can bring in somebody that may not fit the stereotype that you're looking for, or may not fit the role that you're looking for, but if they sell it, yes, you're going to succeed. You're going to make yourself look much better. People are going to reward you for this, but I think Snow White is going to tank because the actress seems kind of like a snob. She seems kind of a bit like a bitch. I don't mind saying that. I mean, she just seems like she seems like she doesn't even buy into the role very much. And I like and I think it's funny because like the witch hates Snow White because she's jealous of her beauty. The witch is Gal Gadot. Really?
Yes.
I mean, but she's on board with it. She's doing it because it's a paycheck for her, you know. And I'm a big fan of Gal Gadot. I love her as Wonder Woman. I think she did a great job as Wonder Woman. Even Linda Carter thinks that she did a great job as Wonder Woman. But like, she's on board with it 100% across the board. But like, it's just like this woman that's playing Snow White. I mean, she's like, oh well, you know, Snow White. It's just bad. It's like, oh, shut up. Just get in there, just act that damn role. Come on, and enjoy it. It's a paycheck for you.
Their political conflicts are funny as fuck too, because they've been arguing about IP on Twitter too.
Who's that? What's that?
Their political conflict is funny as fuck too, because they've been arguing about Israel Palestine on Twitter too.
Oh, they both have?
Yes, because the actress playing Snow White is pro-Palestine.
Yeah.
And Gal Gadot is Israeli.
Yeah, she actually served in the IDF too, so.
Yep.
That's no surprise, honestly, but that's another lengthy discussion. So, but yeah,
yes,
we'll need to like wrap this thing up here soon. So, but yeah, I do think that like the American First League, I think is what it's called, they have a case. I would definitely say they have a case, and Disney has a very steep hill to climb to prove why they denied certain people to work, and and if it's simply because of skin color, then you're fucked up. But you done fucked up, Ron. Let's put it that way, because you know, not hiring based upon skin color is wrong. I don't think that you should do that. Like, if you're gonna do it, like it's like DEI only works if it's just if it's like, for example, if somebody gets denied, a person of skin color of a certain skin color doesn't get hired because of the skin color and whatnot, then that's why that applies there. But if you're just gonna completely just disregard that and say, listen, I'm not gonna hire you because of your qualifications. I'm not gonna hire you because, you know, of your skin color. If this was a person that happens to be, you know, black, Hispanic, Asian, it would be nationwide news and people would be losing their minds over this. So we got to be consistent, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a consistency thing. Like it doesn't matter the fact that they're white. Like you can't deny people a job just because of their race. Like the fact that they're white doesn't matter. Like it's definitely a consistency thing here.
100%. So I definitely they have a case right here. But if Disney can sell the reason why, and maybe there's like some underlying issue or something like that, and I mean, have they fired that VP or is he still there? Do you know?
I don't know. Hold on. I'll see if I can find out.
Because if that dude got fired for that, then I would say it's well deserved because he kind of a moronic thing to say.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, especially like if you're the
Let's see if I
VP
can find
for that
this.
area, holy shit, dude. I mean, seriously, you're not selling your company very well.
Definitely not.
But yeah, I would definitely say that, as much as I might disagree with the American First League or whatever they're called and whatnot, I agree with them here. Like sometimes a broken clock is right twice a day, or that way. So there's no other way to look at it. So, but yeah, while you're still looking that up, was there any other further thoughts that you had as far as we covered tonight, or do you feel like we pretty much hit everything down? Like the only thing we always seem to circle back to healthcare. The only time we didn't circle back to healthcare was talking about this issue here.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have any more thoughts here. It does not look like he has been fired though.
No. Honestly, if I found out somebody was working for my company, if I found out some practices like that would happen, that person would be gone. Like I would just call them at home. It's like, don't even bother coming to work the next day because you done. I don't care if you're off duty. When you start talking about your business, even if you're off duty or something like that, and you're representing your company like that, especially in a high echelon position, I mean, if you're fucked up like that off duty, what do you like on duty? I mean, it makes me wonder. I kind of think.
I mean, I think the fact that they haven't fired them confirms that that's actually one of their fucking practices.
I would say so too, actually, and that's kind of a fucked up thing to do, if I don't mind me saying. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so Vigilante, hey man, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and I definitely had a great conversation as I always do with whoever I bring on. But hey, you want to give yourself one last shout out and where people can find you and what kind of conversations you like to have?
Yeah, no problem. Again, my name is Vigilante. You can find me at the Vigilante TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I do political content, mostly panels and stuff. Also do gaming, religious content, and conspiracy theories with Rampage Paul. Yeah. Stream, don't really have a stream schedule. Streams are kind of random, so.
Yeah. Same with mine. I mean, I try to do mine at least once a week and stuff. So, but hey, man, I appreciate the time we had. I had a great conversation tonight, and I hope you had a great time tonight.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, you're free to play out whenever you want to, but everybody, if you like this, feel free to like, share, subscribe. Go over to Vigilante's channel, give him a like, share, subscribe, whatnot, and show this guy some love. And I will see you all the next week on next Saturday at Current Events on Tap. Y'all take care.
No problem, man. It was fun.